After more than 40 years of organic growing, I've learned that there are very few shortcuts in the garden. It is a slow, steady journey of patience and observation. Healthy soil, compost, mulch, and soil life still do most of the heavy lifting. They are the silent partners that sustain every single plant I grow here, day after day. But as my garden has grown over the decades, I've also experimented with various homemade liquid feeds and fertilizers to supplement the work of the soil. Some are made from common weeds like nettles and comfrey, others from grass clippings or manure. Some even use simple yeast solutions from the kitchen. In this diary entry, I want to share the feeds I've used, how they're made, what they contain, and my honest thoughts on whether they are truly worth the effort. Compost remains the absolute foundation of my gardening system. It's the cycle of life returning to the earth, creating a rich home for our plants. But in a productive garden, compost production often struggles to keep up with high demand. We are always asking the soil to produce more and more each year. Homemade liquid feeds are not intended to replace compost. They are a supplement, a targeted boost when the plants need a little extra help to thrive. I find them most useful during periods of rapid growth, especially following transplanting when the young root systems are still finding their feet. They're also great during the stress of flowering and fruit production, or simply as a way of recycling nutrients already available right here in the garden. Making weed teas is a simple, natural process. It's about letting nature do the chemistry for you, though it does require a bit of patience and a strong nose. It starts with the harvest. I gather the weeds that would otherwise be discarded and see them as a concentrated source of minerals and energy. I place them inside a large hessian sack. This is a small practical step that makes the whole process much cleaner and more manageable in the long run. I submerge the sack in a bucket of water and allow the mixture to steep and ferment. I usually leave it for at least 2 to 3 weeks to fully break down. The sack keeps the plant material contained, so you aren't left with a soggy mess of rotting leaves to clog up your watering can when you're ready to feed. Nettles are traditionally associated with nitrogen, iron and magnesium. They are a powerhouse for any organic grower looking for leafy growth. That's why I use nettle tea around leafy crops like kale and spinach. It helps them maintain that deep, healthy green vitality that we love to see. Then there's comfrey. If you grow organic, you likely have this plant already. It's become one of the most popular sources for homemade feeds in my garden. Comfrey is rich in potassium and calcium, making it indispensable for tomatoes, peppers, and cucumbers as they begin the heavy work of fruiting. Don't overlook the humble dandelion. Their deep taproots gather minerals from layers of soil that other plants just can't reach on their own. I gather them along with my other weeds. They are like little miners, bringing hidden riches up to the surface for us to recycle back into the system. I often use a mixture of weeds like purslane and chickweed. I've learned to see them as a resource to be valued rather than a nuisance to be removed. By recycling these annual weeds, I'm returning the nutrients they've scavenged back to the soil where my vegetables need them most at this time. Fresh grass clippings can be used in much the same way. They are relatively rich in nitrogen and stimulate rapid, healthy, leafy growth across the garden. It's a free material that most of us have in abundance. Just be prepared for the strong, earthy smell as the fermentation process really takes hold. Sheep manure tea is another favourite of mine. I soak the pellets in water and let them break down before diluting the liquid significantly for use. My crops always appear much more vigorous after an application. It provides a balanced mix of nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium for steady growth. Recently I've heard more about yeast-based plant feeds. It's not a complete fertilizer, but it has some very interesting biological properties. Yeast contains B vitamins and amino acids that some believe can stimulate the beneficial microbes living right around the plant roots. Scientific evidence is still a bit mixed, and results vary between gardens, but I think it's worth experimenting with in small controlled patches. Dilution is critical. These concentrated teas are often too strong to apply directly. I usually aim for a ratio of 1 part tea to 10 parts water. You're looking for the colour of weak tea. Applying it too strong can actually burn the delicate roots of your plants, so always err on the side of caution. If you make more than you need, you can store it. I keep mine in lidded barrels in a cool, shaded spot to prevent further fermentation or unwanted odours. When it comes to application, I mostly use these feeds as a soil drench. I apply them directly to the base of the plants so the roots can take up the nutrients. Stored correctly, these feeds can last for several months, allowing you to have a steady supply of nutrients throughout the entire growing season. However, some gardeners also use them as a foliar spray. The leaves can absorb nutrients quickly this way, which can be helpful for a rapid recovery. The best advice I can give is to observe. Watch how your plants respond. Every garden is different, and what works for me might need tweaking for you. Gardening is a conversation between you and the land. These homemade feeds are just one way we can participate in that dialogue more deeply. I mentioned the hessian sacks earlier. They really are the key to making this a cleaner, easier process for the home organic gardener. It keeps the sludge out of your watering can, and you can just toss the spent plants straight onto your compost pile afterwards to finish breaking down. The sacks are durable and reusable for many seasons, making this a truly circular and sustainable way to manage your own garden's fertility. 40 years in the garden have taught me that these feeds are just tools. They don't replace the real foundation of our work, healthy living soil. Another tool I find useful these days is the app called Your Growing Companion. It helps me remember things, and in this case, lets me know when to start using these liquid feeds. There's a link below for you. Good compost, natural mulch, and a thriving soil biology are what truly make a productive organic garden possible over the long term. When we support that biology, we aren't just feeding the plants, we are feeding the entire ecosystem that supports them and us in return. It's a cycle of giving and receiving. What we take from the garden in the form of food, we must return in the form of care, respect, and nutrients. After all this time, I'm still learning new things every season. That's what I love about gardening. It keeps you humble, curious, and connected. Recycling what I already have to support my plants is incredibly satisfying. It's about working with nature, finding that beautiful natural balance. For me, that is the heart of organic growing, finding simple, effective ways to support life without becoming dependent on external products. I hope this encourages you to try some of these feeds. Thanks for joining me in the garden today, and as I mentioned earlier, I will link the app I use in the description below. For now, take care, and I will catch you again very soon.